Previously on Reckless Attack. The battle against the Mothman had begun, creating what can only be described as holes in reality. Knowing help was nearby, the members of the Golden Tree Adventuring Guild needed to buy time. Checkers, with Billiam, the latest addition to the Frog Stack, flew to the top of the obelisk to investigate a glowing green moat that seemed to not be behaving as the others were. Val, Selv, and Cass took on the newest incarnations of the Mothman, but the alarm still needs to be sound. Find out what happens next on Reckless Attack.
Why, hello there, gang.
Why, hello there, Nathan.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Reckless Attack. I am your Dungeon Master, Nathan. Thank you all for joining once again as we have just a nice, delightful romp through the Red City of Agmar where nothing bad is happening and there's no bloodthirsty screams going on in any direction, let alone in all directions. I'd like everyone to introduce themselves in this... Wait, did I last episode? I just realized, did I correctly identify that we were 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast?
I don't actually think you said it at all.
I don't think I did.
But that's fine.
I have lost all track of this intro.
Yep.
Oh, no.
You did it, so it's good.
Good work.
Just keep going.
No, it's all ruined.
Take two, everyone.
I need a minute to regather myself, knowing how horribly I have failed thus far. Please, individual across the table for me, save me as I slowly spiral into existential dread.
Hi, everyone. I'm David, and I play Cascarin Brightmane, the Dwarven Warlock, who is trying to save everyone from existential dread, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, kinda. Especially with this monster.
Yeah, right? Who is with his friends and guildmates fighting many Mothmen. Moth people? No, Moth.
We never figured it out how the
Mothmans
properly, do it.
And to my left.
Hi everyone, my name is Steve and I am playing Selv Asterlin, the Dragonborn monk. And I thought we had settled on Moth Menagerie. Was that? No? I'm getting
I think that was more descriptive of like in that there is a formation. I don't know. Well, the history books, I'm sure, will tell us.
I think we're still trying to decide on the plural of Mothman. Is it Mothmen or Mothmans?
Right.
Oh, I see.
And if it's the same... Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Actually, I think it's Moth's Men.
Also true. Right. Attorneys General. Classic. Exactly.
But yeah, that's me. And so we're going to go diagonally across the table from me.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. It's Jonathan here, and I play Checkers, the Grung Druid, and his trusty frog pals, Mango and Junior. And today we're just having a chill time. Like Nathan said, nothing crazy going on, not surrounded by horrible shadows and Mothmen.
Nope.
Don't have to worry about it. We can all just go participate in the ritual and then go home and have a nice nap.
Precisely.
I mean, Checkers is having the best time.
Yeah, right. No, Checkers is really, really enjoying himself, actually. Just like running around in the face of terrible danger, watching his friends and allies get hurt, watching all all the screaming civilians running away, trying to get to safety. It is chaos, and this is where Checkers thrives.
Yes.
and it's they're getting hurt, but not dying.
Right, yeah.
I think that would be the kind of the line for Checkers there.
I mean, some people have died.
Yeah, right. I think Checkers' stance on it is if they die, it is their fault. So,
but he doesn't say that out loud.
Right,
so.
right. Yeah. But that is the thought going in his head right now. But before we get to that point, let's talk over at Sophie. Hi, Sophie.
Hi, it's me, Sophie. I play Valeska Carter, the human asterisk, I'll tell you sometime, cleric of the Arcana domain.
I promise I will tell you. Yeah, right.
Eventually, it'll get resolved. Don't even worry about it.
And Val is still just contemplating what rhymes with undulate.
Not many fungulate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pungulate? I don't know.
It would be a pungulate if you came up with something. Layers. Guys, I'm not going to beat around the bush anymore. All those things about how not bad it is that we said earlier, that was not true. And I think we all know that.
A blatant falsehood, yes.
Yes, but I think
The lies! Nathan, how could you? We trusted you.
Well, I'm sorry, but this is for the listener. This is us coming clean. No, it's actually quite bad. It's actually quite bad. At the right of the Ember Sage obelisk, there was an attack. Not one Mothman, but a whole moth menagerie. All came out of the deep shadows. Mothmen that you guys recognize, many of them, but also a few that you did not, including the one that you faced down last session. And you were first told by Vina Calvetta, the head of the Red Guard, hey, we have an alarm set in place. Just buy time. We gotta get the alarm a little bit outside of all the noise to make sure everyone hears us, and we gotta make sure that as many people get out of here as possible. And then we'll take care of the horrible main Mothman that is currently absolutely wailing on, I guess you could say, the bell tower, but also kind of like a strange facade of the bell tower. You're not entirely sure yet. You guys survived. You thrived, I would say, in your last encounter. And unfortunately, you heard Vina call out once more. The alarm is in danger. We need help. We have to get it out. And that's all the context that you have at this juncture. Just as a quick check-in, though, how is everyone doing in terms of their resources, in terms of their hit points, in terms of their general character morale?
Val's doing great.
No problems at all?
No problems. She's used a couple of spells, but her battle trigonometry has really paid off. She's really getting good at it.
Is this a subject that the illustrious Atheum taught you? Battle trigonometry?
Absolutely.
I was going to say, but that was probably a class.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's different formulas for each fighting style.
Yeah.
So her trigonometry is very different than Cass's or Sel's, and Checker has a crossbow, so that'd be way different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as a spellcaster, she has got to find.
It's all about the angles,
tangents.
yeah.
But yes, that's how Val is doing, and also Nathan. Sophie's asking the question of: are the bell towers magically connected and forming the bubble around Agmar, and that is why the Mothman is attacking it?
These are great questions.
Okay.
As
That's
to what's
what
happening.
I figured would happen.
Let's talk about it when you guys, if any of you survive, to turn back to the bell tower. And
Okay.
we can talk that, but that, Sophie, it's a great question. It's
Cool.
a great question.
Cool.
Checkers is doing pretty well, but he's getting a little bit toasty because as Billiam and the butterfly are flying above him,
Billiam.
the air is just getting steadily warmer. And Billiam's just kind of hanging out, waving his little frog legs around. Checkers is riding on top of Mango, having a good time. It's a lot of fun right now here in the Checkers
It's
corner.
good to be Checkers.
Right?
And just for the people at home, could you please re-describe Billiam?
Billiam the frog. Billiam the frog is a baby blue frog of literally just a sphere with little frog legs and a big white spot on his belly. But carrying Billiam aloft in the air is a large butterfly with red and orange and black wings that are steadily beating and just slowly warming up the air around it every time it beats. But Billiam and the butterfly are just kind of hanging around up in the air, doing their thing.
Doing frog things.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Does Billiam have legs or just digits that stick straight out from his sphere?
If he was on the ground, could he walk?
No.
Question.
Yeah, questionable.
I think that's what we said last time. It's you would look at it and you'd be like, I would put money on no.
Yeah. Yes.
Cascarin has taken a bit of damage. He's probably half gone with his health, but his rocky Aegis has protected him through many hits in the last combat. He's about half done on spells too. He used a couple resources in the last fight, so as much as he wants to take a break, unfortunately now is not the time.
No, alas.
Selv is okay. He's down some, let's call it resources. So he's used a couple of key points, and he has used his breath weapon. All of that stuff comes back on a short rest, which I believe the consensus is that we should not be taking that right now.
Shouldn't spend a whole hour just grabbing a Cliff Bar or whatever.
We all know it's
Fine.
peace means jerky.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Has
true.
Pete evacuated safely? That is critical.
Yeah,
right now.
Pete would not have been. Pete is still very much in the museum square, wheeling and dealing and
Okay.
trying to, as he likes to say, move that jerky.
Okay. Okay.
I would like it noted that like the free object interaction is like half the time just slipping a piece of mid battle jerky.
Yeah,
Mid-battle jerky.
I mean, got to keep the
Yeah.
the energy levels up. Absolutely. So let's not dilly dally any longer than we've already dilly dallied. You guys, again, you might not even see where Vina is calling out. It's been that chaotic of a last minute or so, because again, you are surrounded by people who are still screaming, trying to run, not being able to run, town guardsmen who are trying to race in, trying to be brave, but it is chaos at the moment. And again, at the center of all of this is this giant pyre with an obelisk right in the middle of it. You know that Vina has essentially told you guys something's wrong. The alarm isn't going off. Help. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick skills challenge, everybody. And it is essentially for you guys, the goal of this skill challenge is 1, find where the alarm is. 2, get to it, obviously. Get it just far enough outside of the fracas to make enough noise to summon more people. And is that it? I just kept listing as if I was going to be listing more things. I think that's the main thing.
Find the bell and then ring the bell where people can hear it.
Yeah, drag the bell, ring the bell.
Okay, cool.
I will tell you, you need 6 successes
Oh, wow. Jeez.
before 4 failures.
Ooh.
So it's a tough one. DC 13. So, everyone, roll initiative, please.
This die sucks and I'm moving it.
Luckily, you're just competing against yourselves, so.
Well, in that case, myself is going on a whopping 6.
Yowza.
Kaskrin has an 8.
Val with the 7.
Checkers with a 22.
Excellent. So it goes Checkers,
Freaking 22.
Kaskrin, Valeska, Self.
I would argue it goes checkers, checkers, checkers.
Pretty much.
Cassavell,
Yeah.
self.
All you guys have heard at this point is we need to find the alarm. You guys don't even really know what it is yet, but just have been told something is wrong. We have to go find it.
Would we have been briefed previously by Vina about, like, I'm sure we know what the plan is, but, like, what is the alarm? Like, what are we looking for?
That's a wonderful question.
Okay.
It is actually a large gong, like literally just a large gong, which is a little bit unfortunate in terms of some of the sounds, but it is definitely distinct from bell sounds, but would be easily washed out if it is done right along all these creatures making horrible bell sounds. You would imagine there's enough commotion certainly right now that eventually guards would kind of make their way over, but the alarm being like, that's the signal. That is like, if you hear the alarm, everyone come run. And you also would know that a lot of people didn't get told exactly what they would be running into or where. So there might be multiple gongs across the city, just as kind of the whole causality paradox thing that everyone is trying to tiptoe around. But that is what you know.
So Checkers knows that he has to go help and find this gong. As much as he would like to run off and go just fight other Mothmen, this is one step on the journey to becoming a good / great / the best adventurer. So
In that order.
what he's going to do is he's going to try and look for it using his perceptive abilities.
Seems great.
And Billiam's going to help. So Billiam and the butterfly just kind of like fly over to where Checkers is, just a little bit up above him, and he just lets his large muscular tongue down
God.
Checkers is gonna like grab onto it, and William is going to help by just airlifting Checkers like a helicopter up into the sky.
How did it get worse?
I'm picturing.
He's just like freaking free floating Tarzan.
Yeah.
I'm also picturing like this discussion after this whole thing is over with the guards and the Agmar officials trying to cover it up and explaining it as a weather balloon.
So William's going to help by just giving Checkers that increased vantage point, and they're going to fly over and just see if they can find a large group of people, a large gong, Vina Calvetta. Just see if there's a direction that he can point the rest of the party towards.
I would also like to change my imagery to just a really weird Mary Poppins.
Yes. Actually, yes. I agree. That is now absolutely mine too.
Float over Agmar, step in time, step in time, step in time.
God, boy, that incredible description sucked all the air out of this room as we were all contemplating the true horrors that you have unleashed into our minds and onto our table. So thank you for that, Jonathan. And as a reward, your DC is lowered for this roll because it made me so happy.
Your DC is higher for this.
Yeah.
Please go away.
I thought about making the joke, but it's like you guys have a long skill challenge ahead. Let's keep it moving.
Perception. 18.
That is a pass. Success. So you see in the distance, Vina is like shouting back kind of towards your guys' direction and maybe even kind of like starting to walk over to you guys to make sure you hear, but is beset on all sides, obviously, so doesn't have a kind of clean release, so to speak. And you can see she is pointing over her shoulder while also yelling out in a direction.
Okay, cool. And I'll come back down and convey that to the rest of the party. Like, it's that way, I saw it. Or I saw Vina, she's pointing that way. You get it. It's over there. It's over there.
Excellent. So you guys know the direction you need to go now, thanks to Checkers. I'm going to say just for flexibility's sake, you don't quite know exactly where it is in the fray.
Yeah.
But you know exactly where you need to be running.
Mm-hmm. With Checkers having landed and given us a direction, I imagine that there's still like, crowds of people that are running in every direction. Like it's utter chaos. And so like moving in any direction is like fighting against the sea of people. And so he is going to use intimidation and it's like shouting at everyone in front of us, like, get out of the way, move, and trying to like clear a path for us to get to the bell.
Absolutely. Hell yes.
18.
Ooh, that's another success.
Nice.
Everyone is still milling around. You guys did a good job of buying most of the people in this area some time to at least get the fuck out of this particular danger that you faced last time. But there's a lot of people still around. And as soon as your voice kind of rings out, everyone's head snaps around, even among all of the crazy chaos happening. And they start kind of like bunching together and just kind of clearly making a path for you guys.
And Cascarin isn't even like waiting for people to move. Like he's charging forward, like even strong-arming people to just push them out of the way.
Val, kind of seeing that Cass is like working to make a path, she will go up behind him and use her insight to kind of read the situation and direct him as to like where the best path is, and kind of more like reading the people of like he's pushing them, but like he's not necessarily like hurting them, so they might be going one way, and then because they're going to the left, the right is a little bit more open, and she's trying to kind of gauge that, have that situational awareness.
Love it. Absolutely. Give me the roll.
19.
Another success. You guys are absolutely crushing.
We're a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and so I'll say, as you are kind of like directing and that kind of stuff, and you're able to get you guys unimpeded, and honestly, probably making sure some of these people that Cass is marshaling out of the way, make sure they're not running into more Mothmen.
Yeah, and I think like Val will kind of, as she sees like people, might be like, no, this way. Like she's not gonna let them run back to the Mothman.
I just got the beautiful image of you being like a sheep herding dog that just is like flitting around while Cascarin is like putting forward to be like, you go over there.
Honestly, I do want to like use light to be like, no, red light, no.
I love that. Canon, done, 100%. And I'm going to say, Selv, you guys can now clearly see Vina, and you can see the direction that she is pointing, and you can see hovering over her right now is the Mothman with wings. it's not just her. She's part of a group, but that is the one that she's kind of currently engaged with.
Is Vina in the direction that we would need to go to get to the gong?
Basically, yeah, she's more or less pointing over her shoulder more or less straight behind her.
Okay. What I am going to do is I am going to head straight for Vina. And about how high is this goth moth, I guess?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Hovering over, like, above the ground.
We'll say it is like 10-ish feet. It is either coming up from a swoop or going down for a swoop. So is close, though.
Then what Selv is going to do is basically head towards Vina so that it's very clear that we know where she is now. And
Great.
then Selv is going to make a motion as he's running of kind of interlacing his fingers together and cupping his hands down on the ground and then pointing at Vina that she should do that. And basically Selv is going to run up and put his foot in her hands and lift him up so that he can jump and smack at this goth moth as he goes by and then continue going towards where
yes.
the con.
Yes, you can do that.
So
Yes.
my question is, would you consider that to be insight for her to get her to do what I want, acrobatics, because that's kind of what it is, or
Cool
an
flips.
attack roll?
I would say I wouldn't say insight, but I would say either of the other two I'm fine with.
Okay.
Because it's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Then I will make this an attack roll. 14 on the die, so that
Yeah.
becomes a 19 to hit.
4 successes. So
Nice.
what does that look like so Vina like finally sees you guys and has that kind of moment of recognition of like, cool, fucking check one thing off the list. You guys are on it. And then makes eye contact with Selv, and Selv is doing some complicated hand gestures that she eventually susses out is not trying
And
to
then-
be like SOS or hi, how are you doing in sign language.
Once he gets a little bit closer, that where he can shout and she'll hear, he's like, "Give me a booster."
And then she just like almost unquestionably, like she drops the sword that she's holding and like braces to have you jump up. And you guys do so.
Wee!
And we'll even say that as you jump up and you just smack this thing, that it actually drops one of the town guards that it is, kind of like trying to bear aloft, as you guys saw last time when you fought it. And it stuns it so much that it drops it again. Not like meaningfully, it doesn't kill the person. You haven't accidentally killed someone. Selv, you actually, as you were going aloft, I'll say you actually even see the direction that you got. You can see the gong. You can't make out some of the details as to exactly like what's happening, why it's not moving, nothing like that. You just get that little flash of like, oh, that's a gong. But excellent. 4 successes at the end of round 1, everybody.
Crushing it. Wow.
That is going very well. I'm sure nothing bad will happen at all. Top of the order.
As Checkers is in midair, he's going to switch from like the hanging onto a rope from a helicopter stance to having Billiam wrap his tongue around Checkers' waist and just going into like a Superman stance.
You're just
You're just making things up.
You're just fucking with us at this point.
You're not paying attention to what anyone else is doing on their turns. You're just like, what's the next weirdest thing that I can come up with?
There's a reason for this, okay? I understand what Selv has got going on over there, and in that direction, what I'm imagining is that there is another large moth creature, and I'm thinking of this one as having like a large rhinoceros skull, and it's just going around just savaging town's guards, like really just causing a lot of problems. So Checkers is going to fly over there and try to direct this rampaging Mothman in a direction, like maybe down an empty alleyway or away from the general populace and away from the rest of the party.
Love that.
I'd like to try and use sleight of hand, which is like physical misdirection, to try and get this thing in a different direction.
Okay. What would you like to do? Is there anything in particular that you're doing to ensure it pays attention to you and goes the direction that you're going? It could be even just be like, I fling a rock and like knock over some like wooden crates.
Yes,
or,
tell us what you
something
do
like
to
that.
this horror gorer.
Yes.
That one I will allow.
So I'm imagining maybe Checkers like comes in and like blindsides this thing as it's charging and just like hits it in the skull with his Superman fists.
Double punch.
Punch, and just like comes in at an unexpected angle and causes this thing to kind of like think about what it's trying to do for a minute before finding the source of what just hit it and running off in that direction.
Yeah, I like that. And I think sleight of hand, I'm fine with kind of making that even be like, you find that exact moment to get in and not be gored to death.
Yes.
I'm in. Give me a roll.
Did not work out. 8.
That is a failure.
Yeah,
So
just one hit was not enough to really get it in the direction I needed it to go.
you guys see Checkers fly off and try to punch a rhinoceros made of shadow and bone, and it goes about as well. About as well as you probably expect, I guess.
As like Selv and Valeska and Kaskrin are moving closer to the bell, I imagine that there were like guardsmen who were stationed there ready to like ring it, or like they're responsible for it. You know, it's not just a bell or a gong sitting out in the open. And so Kaskrin, as he's moving closer, is like trying to get their attention and also persuade them to like start moving the bell in the direction that we need it to go. He's like trying to signal like, start pushing it that way. Like, we got to get it over there.
Absolutely. What you see as you guys are approaching, and this is all happening and progressing, what you see is that there are people around the gong who are dead. Like, there are town's guardsmen who are dead, but you are able to spot some other people who are nearby and can, like, now you are just trying to convince them to be like, you get over there, we need that man, we need that move in that direction, and absolutely perfect.
Maybe there's another guy who's like trying to help some other people, and he's like, no, we gotta get that over there. Ooh, 25. Wow.
Yes.
Kaskrin is like big arm waving, like, because he's a short dwarf, like, so like his arms are like reached up or the height of a normal person, so he has to really try. But fortunately,
But they are covered in rocks.
yeah, so it's like enough to like, hey, go move that over there. So
Absolutely. And yeah, these guys peel off from whatever it is that they're doing and maybe trying to help people get out, trying to figure out where they need to go next, and they hear you and see you guys charging and very quickly rally and start manning this gong and moving it out. So things are moving forward. You guys see where the gong is, but there is still a lot of chaos around. There's actually a Moth Man nearby. Like, you guys still have a little bit more to go before you can successfully really start banging it and knowing for sure that this is going to get out. Valeska Carter.
To clarify, we need to move the gong further before we start ringing it.
Exactly.
Right?
So you can either help move it, you can help move things out of the way, you can buy time, whatever you think is useful. But yeah, now the goal is get it further out as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah. So Val's seen how the light really directed the people and kind of hurted them. She is going to use a combination of her light and thaumaturgy cantrip to clear people out of the way. So she'll kind of have the ground, because she can light up like a 10-foot area, the ground or the windows, and like use like red light and kind of like a move left, move right, and use all of that to direct a clear path in front of the soldiers and Cass. Because she's not going to help push. She would help to push, but is it a help?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like, this is not exactly the beefiest of D&D parties. It is Cass.
Yeah.
End of list.
So I would like to use Arcana.
Cool. I love that. And it's kind of like an expression of your skill of like being able to quickly cycle through all of your abilities and make your choices clear as to like, there's no room for error when you're trying to direct traffic using only lights.
Yes.
I love how so much of this is like, Val is very adept at conveying information in a way that other people understand, and this is a prime example of it.
Exactly.
And I imagine how this also leads to the first streetlights in Agmar.
Yeah, basically.
Or the, if there's ever an emergency, green is the safe way to go. Red, do not go to this area.
I'm just imagining the world's most boring job for like entry-level mage apprentice is like operating a single stoplight and just being like, all right, new thaumaturgy. All right. Anyway, please.
22. Or no, sorry, 20.
Good news, either would have worked. That is 6 successes.
Wow.
So everyone, like, you guys are absolutely just like slipping through the crowd, making room, working as a perfect, well-oiled machine, probably in a way that you guys, as far as I remember, really even haven't yet. Just because there's a lot of weird stuff that happens all the time, but you guys are also pretty new to it. You guys are all just like, it's almost like you barely lost momentum the whole time. You're just sprinting in a straight direction and managed to get some of the Red Guard to help you guys push a gong out. And who would like to be the one to bang on the gong?
I, Val, do not want to do that, but as somebody is preparing to do that, I'm going to group or instruct the Red Guard to use their metal, like,
Shields?
Shields, but like there's the curved shields, and form a semicircle around it to amplify the sound in the direction we need it to go.
On it, absolutely.
That relates to a question I had because I'm not that familiar with thaumaturgy. Does it actually, can you use it to amplify sound?
I can use it to create a sound. So I can use it to create another gong sound. I can make my voice boom louder.
Okay, voice. Gotcha.
So Kaskrin makes his, is finally able to, with the help of Valeska, to push their way through the crowd. As he reaches the gong, he takes his giant warhammer, and just as the other Red Guard form this directed semicircle to amplify the sound, Kaskrin runs up and hits the gong in the center, making this enormous sound that reverberates around to the rest of Agmar. Moments after the gong is hit, we can start to hear other gongs from other directions, other districts in the city begin to sound the alarm as well.
As you start to hear one, then two, and then other gongs in response, they have a weird, almost discordant sound with all of the, monstrous bells happening behind you. But you know that others in the city have now been alerted to some sort of emergency, and after even a few moments of clanging on this gong and hearing other gongs clang back, you all, from the distance, start to see a number of members of the Red Guard, as well as the large Minotaur that you saw at the games earlier in this day, and the Verdant Wave, all running over in this direction. And you have summoned the help that you guys have been needing.
Thanks for listening to the episode. We hope you've been enjoying it so far. If you are, come hang out with us on Twitter at reckless_attack or on Instagram at recklessattackpod. If you want to support us, check out our Patreon and Ko-fi, where we've got things like our How to Promo guide and custom adventures written by our very own cast. Don't forget to leave us a follow and a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can find links to all of our stuff on our website, recklessattack.com. And if you want a little bit of extra Reckless Attack, stick around to the end for a fun little blooper. Now, back to the episode.
With that, I imagine the four of you look back at the battlefield that you have gone to, we'll say, the outskirts of, and you see still a lot of chaos. A lot of the people have been evacuated, but you recognize a lot of faces still in there. Specifically, you recognize some of the faces of the people that you saved. Some of the people who were attacked by the Moth Man, and the danger is still real, because partway up this bell tower, you see not only is the large Mothman still there and still now ripping away like panels of reality in a way that is very strange. You can still now see in kind of the hole that it's made, you can see there is the bell tower, but it's almost like there's a layer between the bell tower and whatever the Mothman is now ripping at. You hear a cry from near you. You see the winged Mothman, the Goth Moth, as the history textbooks will say, fall. And you can see the Red Guard let up a cheer as this thing collapses into shadow. But the four of you, and maybe only the four of you, in this moment, see the large Mothman, the main Mothman, Mothman Prime, on the bell tower, suddenly sprout wings.
Oh, that's bad.
Oh no.
And the battle rages on. What do you do?
Val will immediately instruct the Red Guard that helped us move this gong and make sure they know they need to keep this path clear to evacuate those who are in the battle and make sure they have an exit out.
Awesome.
And then looks to Cass.
Yeah, Cascarin greets the reinforcements. You know, as the
Yeah,
Minotaur
they'd be
and
close
the
enough.
Verdant Wave, to try to start establishing a battle plan. And so he goes up to the Minotaur first and is like, "What's your name, friend?"
Name's Garnak. Where's the fight?
Garnak, we're headed back in the direction of the bell tower. Mothman Prime is doing something up there. I don't know what, but clearly it looks to be bad. And he also turns to the Verdant Wave and says, "Giannis, the Golden Tree is headed for the bell tower. If you have any ranged combatants, we could use them."
Actually, at that, Selv actually points to Trankar.
Yeah.
and says, "Use your signal."
And as he looks at Giannis and the rest of the group, you know, he makes meaningful eye contact with Barzug, the dwarf rager from earlier, but continues talking with Giannis, trying to figure out how are we going to charge back in there? Like, what's the plan once we get in? Because this is the only shot that we have.
And as this is happening, you can see, and all four of you can see, that this group of people, for the most part, are all like looking at the battle beyond and just like flabbergasted. These people clearly had no idea what they were running into, but can see all the things happening in the background. Yes.
They can see the Mothman.
Yes, they can see. They can now. Everyone will now be able to see the Mothman, Mothsman, whatever it is. But the one who meets your gaze coolly and with an air of professionalism is Giannis Varga, the head of the Verdant Wave Adventuring Guild. The tall elf looks down at you, and there's that moment, just that little pause that feels like an eternity, but is nothing in the scope of things. And Giannis says, "Trankar, with them. What do you need from us?"
Val will have been instructing the Red Guard she talked to start grabbing other members of the Red Guard to make sure people are getting out. She is focusing on the evac plan, trusting Cass to figure out the battle plan.
As soon as you kind of basically pointed the Red Guard who you brought with you to do that, they pretty much all agreed with you and started like kind of spreading out and that kind of stuff. And would already be grabbing people to make sure that things were clear, that there was kind of like a blockade set up, all that good stuff.
And Selv will turn to Cass and say, "Kavos and I can probably get to the top of that tower fastest."
Cascarin will kind of, he's kind of like talking to everyone now, and it says, "Kavos and Selv, you guys can make it to the Mothman the fastest. Try to get up there as fast as you can and maybe delay it from doing whatever it is that it's doing." And Checkers kind of comes out from the fleeing crowd.
Floats down like Mary Poppins.
So what I'm imagining is Checkers is now riding on top of Mango, and Billiam and the butterfly are just sort of perched on top of the large water barrel on Mango's back. He just kind of like squeezes out from the crowd, a little bit battered, but he's not going to talk about that.
Hey, not important.
Don't forget about me.
And we look in wonder, and what is Checkers?
What would you say it is that you do around
What's
here?
your deal?
Checkers.
Yeah. Checkers, we need information. We only know about the one Mothman, the Goth Moth that was around here, but there must be others in the city that are still wreaking havoc. We need numbers. We need a count of them. Can you get me that info?
Oh, I can.
Perfect. We'll meet you at the bell tower. Keep an eye on us while we're moving.
All right, you got it. And then Checkers and Mango and Billiam leap off into the distance.
And then Kaskrin says to Giannis and Barzug, Vina's group was the last one fighting the Goth Moth. And from when we fought them, that thing was terrible to fight. I'm sure they have casualties. Go and reinforce her, if you can, and bring her to the bell tower. I'm sure that her expertise and the rest of her guard are going to be vital in the battle to come.
Just writing down all the ways you guys are splitting the party.
What are we doing with the Garnak? The Minotaur.
Oh, yeah. And he will also say, like, Garnak with us. We're heading back to the bell tower. Everyone clear?
Everyone
Clear.
starts moving.
Cool.
Giannis and Barzug start running into the crowd, basically towards where the Goth Moth fell. Garnak, the Minotaur, steps up and is just clearly ready to follow you guys. Checkers floats off.
Wow.
Mary Poppins style, and or probably jumps off.
Spoonful of checkers helps the goth moth go down.
And Kavos, the red dragonborn, steps up to Selv and just goes, and just looks at you. But before you all separate, since you successfully got through the skill challenge, and by got through, I mean absolutely fucking destroyed the skill challenge, you guys get a reward. That reward, 1, you can spend up to 2 hit dice if you would like, as you are bolstered in your spirit by the sign of reinforcements coming. You also were able to move quickly enough that any concentration spells you had going, especially if it was a minute or less, is obviously when it's most pertinent, are still going. And you also get a full round, and again, it kind of got like glossed over or whatever, but you get a full round also to do any buffs, heals, drinking of potions, or whatever before entering into any sort of dangerous situation wherein that might become more perilous.
Kaskrin will take this opportunity now that everyone has dispersed. Garnak and Trenkar are with the party, and he's going to, kind of recenter himself as we prepare to dive back into the fray. And he's also, he's going to spend some hit dice. I heal back to full.
Nice.
I rolled,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
And in addition, he is going to take the lucky coin out of his pocket and hand it to Valeska.
Thank you.
Yes, the coin does nothing but imparts luck. But also, when you take the coin, you get that like subconscious feeling that you know where Kaskrin is at any point in time. He is going to cast Warding Bond.
Oh, great.
So you have resistance against all damage and +1 to armor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Val puts it in a pocket. Like, that's under her leather armor.
Perfect. Excellent.
Does that mean we all have to get little coin pockets?
I guess-
You
we
don't have one, so? Val, this is like a secret fact we should say for after the episode, but there are so many pockets in all of Val's clothing.
Makes sense to me.
Checkers will refill his stones, and Junior will just meticulously place them in the hat pockets that he has. And then Checkers, Billiam, and Mango, and Junior.
Thanks, our Patreon supporters, Billiam, Checkers, Mango, Jr.
Yeah, right. They're gonna leap off into another district of town. I'm thinking about this as like Checkers is on top of Mango, and Billiam is just kind of like grasping the water barrel and kind of like using the little bit of flight that he has to help Mango's jump along a little bit more.
Glide
Yeah.
ever so slightly.
Yeah, just like he jumps and just glides a little bit, and then they all fall down and jump again. So it's just this frog train.
Truly a frog locomotive.
Right. Yes.
I really appreciate that, like, Checker's backside is just uncomfortably warm now after, like, Billiam has just been, like, gently flapping his wings while attached to the water barrel.
Yes. It's a hot tub. Isn't that what it is?
Okay. Let me organize my thoughts. Because you guys have split the party so deeply. Val, what are you doing?
I am with Cass.
Great. That's what I assumed, but I realized, like, I don't know that for sure. And let's be sure. So, namely the, 5 of you guys, Kaskrin, Val, Steve, not Steve, Selv.
I would
Okay.
never put Steve in danger.
Yeah. Hold on, let me restart the account. Val, we got Kaskrin, we got Selv, we got Trenkar, we got Garnak, we got who else?
All of the Verdant Wave.
No,
Well, eventually.
the Verdant Wave is
and
split, too.
Trenkar is the one. Yeah, you've successfully also split my fucking NPC party apart. So
Yes.
great, thank you.
I mean, technically, they're just taking different route.
Yeah,
to get
everybody's going
to
to
the
meet
bell
up by the tower. It's just a matter of the route to
Timing.
get there. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys all start taking off and go your various directions. Selv, you and Kavos are immediately, like, I'm imagining this just like cinematic sequence where the two of you are absolutely sprinting, like doing the equivalent of, like, what is it? Is it Step of the Wind, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Of like no opportunity attacks, but are just like perfectly weaving in and out of a crowd, ducking, jumping over obstacles, maybe doing a punch every now and again when useful. I would say, and the two of you, I'm just going to say, make it to the bell tower without any major problems.
Selv is missing an arm.
It's all.
Kavos has no legs below the knee. Yeah, but we're fine. We're
but
fine.
also, it's all a problem. Baseline, it's a problem. So, Checkers, you are basically trying to get some altitude to see what you can see around what is the state of the city.
Yeah, so I'm interested in that, but I'm also interested in, are there other Mothsmen that are going from other areas of the city to where the party is going to be fighting this creature? So I need to make sure, if there are, he's going to try and like head them off and turn them in a different direction before heading back to the rest of the party.
Excellent. Give me a very important perception check.
Okay. Ooh, 22.
You learn a couple of key pieces of information. As you're looking around, and these streets are pretty well lit for the most part because it's just sun has just gone down, so it's not super dark yet, and there's lots of torches already up and running, especially now that there's a lot of alarms going on. As best as you can tell, it doesn't seem like there's no other attacks happening in the city. It seems like whatever is happening, it's happening there. So you don't see anyone, and you don't see any monsters advancing or climbing on other bell towers or anything along those lines.
Sure.
So it seems like the rest of the city is relatively safe.
Nice.
The other thing that you notice that I don't think anyone else would notice is you are just scanning over everything, and then I kind of imagine Checkers being like, okay, cool, I checked, doesn't look like anything else is going on. All right. You scan back towards the battlefield, right? And kind of like that main square where everything is happening, the bell tower, still several Mothmen rampaging, still a lot of people trapped, trying to get out, and worse. And something catches your eye at the top of the obelisk in the middle of the pyre.
Oh boy.
No one else would have noticed this because no one's looking that direction right now. Probably no one in the city, and certainly not from your vantage point. And you see a small mote of green light at the top of it, like kind of right at the point. It's very small. It's intense, but not so intense that it's, like lighting up the square or anything like that. But those are the two things that you notice.
Interesting. So this mote of light above the obelisk is kind of different from the rest of them in that the previous ones had just been like floating up and
absolutely
just dissipating.
Yeah, almost like either small embers or even like almost firefly kind of thing, but very wafting, very loose, kind of just going with the natural air currents and the smoke. This one is specific, and it is like a little tiny sphere of light and perched right at the point of the Ember Sage obelisk.
And for some reason, this is really calling out to Checkers. So what he's going to do is, Mango, I'll see you back at the square. Billiam and I got a moat to get. So he and Billiam are going to take off in the direction of the obelisk, upwards towards the top of the obelisk, in an attempt to see what this is about. But I'm thinking about this as like, again, that helicopter, dangling from a rope from a helicopter, and Checkers has one arm kind of outstretched, ready to try and grab onto this thing as he passes by the obelisk on his way to the bell tower.
Excellent. I'm going to say back to Kavos and Selv. The rest of you are still making your way, and again, it's much more slower going. These two are, you were right in saying, like, yeah, they'll be able to haul ass
Right.
a lot better
Yeah.
and faster and more efficiently than we are.
Parkour.
Lot of parkour. The two of you find yourselves, whatever we'll say, respectable distance from the bottom of the bell tower that you would like to skid to a halt. You look up and you see it is not just a large creature like most of them are, it is a giant creature. To the point where you're like, how is it not, like it shouldn't, the bell tower is not, I'm sure should not be sturdy enough to hold how big this creature is. And it has these two big wings going out, and it is still has very amorphous kind of features and claws and stuff, but seems to be even solidifying beyond its kind of usual gelatinous form, shall we say. Kavos looks over at you with a cocked eyebrow and says, "Race you to the top."
Selv gives a quick look. So this thing, the Mothman kind of is still kind of slamming into the tower with those shadowy tentacle type things.
Yeah, and it's probably about 20 feet up or so.
Okay, that was my question.
But the other kind of key piece of information that we said earlier is none of these bell towers have stairs. Like, it is, every part of it is magical. And there's no bell ringing, there's no bell ringers. It just is a magical construct. And so it's bricks and stuff. There would be handholds for skilled climbers, but there is no easy way to scale this or go up.
Okay. Even on the inside?
I was just curious, how tall is it?
So the entire bell tower is like 50 to 60 feet
Okay, that's
tall.
what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the tentacles are hitting about 20 feet off the
Oh,
ground.
okay.
Yeah, the
that makes-
Mothman's like on the like King Kong on a
Okay.
skyscraper.
Yeah, 'cause my-
That makes
Yeah.
a lot.
assuming-
Okay, I was
yeah.
like, the tower's only 20 feet tall.
Yeah,
What?
That seems
My first
way
thought
less
was
cool.
if it's hitting closer to the ground where I might be able to attack the tentacles.
But no, it's
But
high up.
it's
Okay,
high up.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Does it seem to be hitting the tower in basically the same places?
Yes, there is one place. It is just taken its giant fist over and over again. Fist is kind of you get it, appendage, over and over, and just slamming. And now you can see it is now like almost ripping away whatever it is that it's been like hammering at. And you can see now where you are standing that there's dust starting to fall.
Okay. I will nod at Kavos and just say, to the top. And then start going. I think we should not necessarily split up, but spread out. Just so that like one tentacle can't take both of us down if it decides to attack us. So maybe I go to the right, he goes to the left, or something like that, or those sides, and we kind of start climbing up.
Selv, as you go kind of to your other side to start climbing and be separate, you see Kavos, again, he's still wearing his kind of like combat harness, basically, and he hits a switch somewhere. You know, you hear kind of a metallic click in response to something that he does, and you look back over your shoulder, and you now see that there are two big spikes protruding from his fists that he then slams into the side of this bell tower and starts
Ooh.
climbing.
So Selv, on seeing that, he's like, I see. He takes out the rod and just kind of puts it into the,
Which rod is this?
This would be the immovable rod.
That's an important distinction
Yes.
between other rods.
Yes, sorry, the immovable rod, and slams it, parallel to the ground against the wall, and then uses that to climb up, and then gets a handhold, and then releases it and puts it up again, just so he always has something that is stable for him to hold on to.
Excellent.
Sick.
The remaining group of you guys all come up eventually and see the two dragonborn monks scaling either side of this tower. Chaos is swirling all around you. This battle has not stopped in intensity whatsoever. And as things are happening, much in the way that we ended a couple of episodes ago, the image that everything ties together on is a small creature floating on the horizon as horrible tongue Billiam carries checkers aloft. Over your shoulders, you see him going to the obelisk, completely ignoring the giant Mothman that is in front of you, and we will see what happens next week. Do you have your character sheet pulled up?
I do.
Can I look at it real quick?
How attached are you to your character sheet, Steve? Just a question.
Yeah, we won't be needing this anymore. I also need to heal, so we'll see how that works. We get a short rest in between now and next
I
part?
don't think so.
Are you sure, guys?
Vina's actively yelling at us that things are going south.
You're gonna wait a
So-
full hour?
Yeah. We'll just stand there and look at her for an hour and be like, that alarm doesn't seem
Yeah.
If it's
Critical.
an emergency now, it's gonna be an emergency in an hour.
right.